Hard-to-please visitors are usually interesting, so when the charter starts, it really gets going. After a week off, a new episode feels fresh. A challenge that may seem all too familiar to those spending the holidays with family is the subject of criticism from the guests, regardless of what the staff does. It's the morning after Danny and Chase hook up, and surprisingly little backlash occurs if you make a cocktail for a mother nevertheless. Danny is hoping that he will want to keep hooking anchors. In stark contrast to his sexless season the previous year, Chase is ecstatic to have gotten laid after just 3 days. Chase is unconcerned when Gary and the producers question him about what appeared to be a good relationship with Diana. In essence, he says that Diana is too reserved and is happy that Danny took advantage of the situation. Fortunately, Diana seemed to be amused about the entire situation in the morning. She is self-aware and will not pursue a romantic partner after just 3 days. Danny, who simply requires a few minutes to become aroused by anyone with a penis, says, "You can have Gary," while they clean the cabins. Diana, "Thank you, but no." In addition, Daisy is turning down Gary for the millionth time. He invites Daisy to get a drink from the boat for the two of them as a way to commemorate being successfully sober for one night out. Although splitting a bottle of wine would seem like a lot to most people, these two are actually drinking in moderation. By asking Daisy what she wants out of life and whether she sees a relationship with him, Gary swiftly turns this non-date into a quasi-date. Daisy claims that she is enjoying herself too much for a relationship, which seems false. But she then reveals the truth. She believes that both of them have a lot of personal work to do, but she has been putting in more effort than he has. Gary holds the misguided belief that their trauma bonding and shared experiences make them the ideal couple. But Daisy claims there's no chance they'll happen again because of his troubled past and the way he's treated her in the past. As they make their way back to the boat, Gary tries to hold hands and doesn't appear to completely give up. As friends, they are in a decent enough position. We foolishly hope that we won't have to hear about this ever again. The Daisy fan group asks Gary for specifics back on the boat, but he doesn't provide them with anything. Keith makes the sensible decision to distance himself from Daisy in order to avoid becoming entangled in a Gary-Daisy love triangle, but he still flirts with her the following morning over the amount of Powerade the deck crew consumes. Diana is more convinced in her decision to avoid becoming involved in a romantic triangle with Chase and Danny. After Danny, she refuses to hook up with him, which makes her more inclined to side with Daisy in terms of internal dynamics. By labeling Chase a fool, because boys are idiots, Daisy reassures Diana. Their situationship status is solidified when Danny cuddles with Chase after he goes to bed early. Even though the next charter is only for one night, it turns out to be quite difficult. Jillian, a hospital operations specialist, and Sherry, a celebrity hairstylist, are friends and co-primaries. Bringing one husband, Marcel, on a girls' trip is a little strange, but that doesn't make them rude visitors. They are all Debbie Downers who are constantly focusing on the negative. The cabins resemble their college dorm, the margaritas aren't strong enough, the hot tub isn't a pool, etc. The high-maintenance flags are flying as well. They constantly call for Daisy and urge the stews to unpack their luggage and get drinks. They must not have known they signed up for the sailing spin-off because they dislike sailing. But this bunch is adept at playing into the traditional below-deck pattern of demanding visitors. Tilting causes them to get seasick, which makes Chase dash for a bucket that is never used. The negative Nancys don't like the Seabobs, despite the deck crew's attempts to win them back with water toys. Tanya, it should be enjoyable, I believe. Gary makes an unsuccessful attempt to instruct them and lighten the situation. Sherry, I'm finished. I've given it a try. A theme begins to emerge. The guests' requests for a 7-course meal with drink pairings and a mixology instruction are not really what they want. Daisy is prepared to teach 3 different concoctions in her cocktail lesson. They only have one muddler for mojitos, which is a legitimate criticism. The mango martinis aren't sweet enough, which is a ridiculous criticism. You literally made it by adding some sugar, even though martinis aren't sweet. Before the 3rd cocktail, the group disbands and heads out to prepare for supper. Naturally, the fact that the table doubles as a booth bothers them. Although they detest the Aperol Spritz combination, Cloyce begins with a romaine wedge salad that they adore. David is upset on behalf of the Italians downstairs when Sherry remarks that it tastes like cough syrup. Then, referring to Oysters Rockefeller as Cloisters Rockefeller, Cloyce does another goddamn thing that isn't a play at all. Are you the only one who has eyes that get caught in the back of your head? He covers bowls of stones with hot water. I try to see if there are any clams or something by pausing the TV, but all I see are stones. A sauna. What is it? When Daisy spills the cocktails on the table and a guest phone by accident, he begins to wax poetic about discovering fresh oysters among rocks. To make matters worse, Sherry avoids oysters. It's a complete catastrophe. Cloyce's stones are as stone-faced as the dissatisfied guests. The diners are already feeling full by the third meal, which is fried crab cake with mango daiquiris, and they believe the drinks are too powerful. They also have half drinks. The fact that we are just on the fourth course French onion soup and Hennessy French 75s, which are not half orders at 11:37 p.m. is taxing. Daisy responds, "You don't have to finish them, but do reduce them for the last courses," in response to the guests' complaints about the beverages. Sea-bass, filet mignon served with mashed potatoes, and apple crumble served with ice cream are all available. Cloyce deserves praise for preparing everything on schedule and ensuring that the meal was not a problem, even though his menu was unquestionably too substantial for 7 courses. When you combine that with all the alcohol, it's understandable why someone could throw up at night. Sadly, they leave it in the hallway for the crew to discover in the morning in a knotted plastic bag. Apparently, they were unable to locate a garbage bin. Cloyce finally prepares a pretty quiche for breakfast, but the visitors don't think it's very good. It looks like this tip is going to be terrible. The crew waits on shore to greet them when they arrive in port, but Glenn checks in with the disgruntled visitors first. There were a few glitches, they say. We won't be able to hear their grievances until next week, but Jillian is prepared to reel off their list.